What's up, you guys? It's Jonno! Today we have a kind of interesting and minor-ish update. I can't figure out if it's really that important, but I wanted to cover it because it looks really weird in Pokemon Go right now. You guys may not have noticed this, or maybe you did notice it, but some Redditors certainly noticed it super fast. Whole sections of the United States are now based off of US maps, open maps data. I forget, it's called open maps basically. It's OpenStreetMap, alright? OSM. I haven't really used this much at all, but apparently it has been the way that Ness and certain gyms for EX raids and other stuff in the game has been predicted. It's also free, so apparently Niantic, trying to save a couple of bucks, as always, is moving over to OSM completely. They are no longer going to use Google Maps. What does this mean for you? Well, if you look at these pictures, check it out here. There was no river before, and there are a ton of little buildings here. Now in the game, it shows a river, and it shows no buildings. How is this really an improvement? Well, the river, you can obviously imagine, is going to give water spawns, so I think that this is probably an attempt to fix water spawns. Obviously, it's cheaper for them, so that has to be the primary motivation, but I think that there will be some in-game benefits. For me as a YouTuber, I'm actually really glad that it no longer shows what building I'm in case I want to go to a friend's house and record a video. I can't because it shows their house. Same thing with me, it was always showing my house, but now it doesn't show. So it doesn't show exactly what building I'm standing in all the time. So that is a little bit better from a YouTube perspective. There's absolutely no reason to need that information aside from, let's say you go to a spawn and it shows in a huge building and you might realize I can't get in there because the building is so large, but without the buildings there, you can no longer see that. So it really only affects tracker gameplay because sometimes that information is relevant for us, but now it's just going to show a big empty area and you won't really know. You'll have to look around in real life. The game won't give you any clues as to what might happen. Sorry if you guys hear some construction noise. My neighbor is doing a ton of construction right now. He's been doing it for days. It's no worries, but every once in a while you're going to hear a saw or something like that. So sorry if you guys can actually hear that. Hopefully my mic isn't picking it up, but I have a pretty good mic, so it probably is. Anyway, this is some really big update news because the game looks weird. It looks so different, but I'm hoping that this will eventually result in more Pokestops. The number one thing that breaks this game is the lack of game assets, and I learned that term from my buddy Steve, so big shout out to Steve. He calls everything, the Pokestops, the gyms, the Pokemon spawn points, it's all game assets, and there are some places in the world that have no game assets. No Pokemon spawn when you walk around, there are no gyms, and there are no Pokestops. So how are you expected to play the game? Nobody can play the game in whole sections of the world. Why do you think we have so much rampant spoofing? You know, even people who have good areas like me are spoofing because it's just not fun to play when there's no game assets, and some of the game assets are in places that I would never go, and I'm like, you guys, I know the game is about getting out to new places, but there needs to be some game assets in my neighborhood. I walk my neighborhood every night. I don't think it's fair to expect people to drive all the way to a different location just to play the game. If you want to get people out, get them out on their nightly walk in their own neighborhood. And speaking of my own neighborhood, you guys remember I got a double Snorlax in my neighborhood. I got a whole bunch of great amazing 100% Pokemon in my neighborhood. My neighborhood used to be lit. They removed spawn points in my neighborhood. My neighborhood has been stripped of spawn points. There's basically, like the place where I got the double Snorlax doesn't even have spawn points anymore. Those spawn points are gone. So I'm like, you guys, why did you take the spawn points away? It was the only good thing. At least there's no Pokestops in my neighborhood, but I could catch Pokemon, and then I would have to leave my neighborhood to go find an area with Pokestops and then walk there and grind my Pokestops, and then I could come back and catch in my neighborhood for a few days. So now it's like they removed the spawn points. There's no Pokestops in my neighborhood, or barely. So it's just kind of interesting. You may notice Avoli up here. Avoli is in the cemetery right now. Avoli's wandering around the cemetery so he can try to get Pokestops. So I really feel like they need to fix the availability of game assets. We should not have to walk around the cemetery. That was one of the weirdest things about Ingress, and a lot of people are morally opposed to playing video games in the cemetery, which I halfway agree with, although some of them are more public parks, but, you know, it's like we need game assets. They must put game assets into the game, otherwise there's no chance for this game to survive another year. People are going to stop spoofing because they're going to get bored, and the people who hate spoofing are going to be so mad that people are still spoofing that they're going to quit. I mean, it's a whole downward cycle. I really think they need to build spoofing into the game in a realistic way with a story mode where you actually get gym badges and they give you a pass to fly to a new city and play in that city so you can get a gym badge from there, some kind of Pokemon Go story mode. Although, I mean, obviously they haven't really made it clear that they want to have a story mode in this game, but I think that it would fix certain elements of the game if you could go to different cities and get different biome spawns that you just can never get in your own city. But especially for rural players, to be able to play city gameplay without spoofing to a city would be great, but they wouldn't have to do that if they would just put game assets in the rural areas. So I'm hoping that the move to open maps is a move to get more game data. Open maps is rich with data. They built the game Draconius Go off of open maps, and obviously it has way more game assets, and that's one of the things that people have loved about it. So I'm thinking that Niantic is finally taking a cue in that respect, and they're going to move to more game assets. We do not have game assets in the game. Even in large cities, you don't have enough game assets, and it's very difficult to play. So I'm hoping that this is a move that will actually make all those changes into like real good gameplay for the users. That's what we need, good gameplay, and maybe this is a move to get there. So let's hope so, you guys. Let's just hope so. I'm assuming that this little river that you see right here is gonna make water spawns, and water spawns are the best spawns in the game currently. So I'm hoping that that is, you know, what you can, where you can get some Dratinis and Magikarps and stuff like that. Anyway, guys, it's a quick video, a little bit of a rant, but I wanted to cover this. Your game probably looks very weird. When I logged in, I was like, I can't figure out why this looks so weird, but it looks really weird, and it's because they removed all the buildings off of the streets, so it's kind of strange. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching my news update, and just so you guys know, legendary beasts are gone. They gone, you guys. Legendary beasts are gone for now, so all you can do as far as legendary raids is ho-oh. Alright, that's going to be the for real end of the video. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks to my awesome subscribers, and peace!